Ladies and gentlemen, thanks for joining us for today's edition of Prime Flash. Some Cameroonians are said to have lost their lives after, on the coast of Tunisia, on board a boat heading to Europe for greener pastures. Out of hundreds, just 3 lives are said to have been rescued and 4 bodies found. The Cameroon Football Federation, through its president Samuel Eto'o, is cautioning Algerian head coach Jamal Belmadi after persistent threats, insults and accusations from Algerian football fans and other officials. In a press release signed Monday, April 25, Samuel Eto'o says he may petition FIFA's Ethics Committee if accusations persist. After failing to qualify for the Qatar World Cup, Algerians have accused Cameroonian authorities of bribery. This is Fecafoot's first official statement ever since such accusations were made. The Limbe City Mayor Paul Efombe Lisombe Ngale Mbole has reassured councillors and stakeholders of the City Council that his tenure will be that of development and continuity of what his predecessor left. He made this statement yesterday while presiding over the first and second ordinary session dedicated for the examination and adoption of the draft budget for 2023. A first ever All-Indian conference which took place over the weekend had as resolutions to work hand in glove with the government to solve the crisis in the respective regions. A conference which was under the patronage of the Prime Minister and Head of Government, Chief Dr. Joseph John Gute. Catherine Ekongwe.
For over 5 years now, the northwest and southwest region of Cameroon have been home to the Anglophone Crisis, which has left over 3,910 fatalities, while there are over 573,900 internally displaced persons in the two regions, which has as well slowed down developments. On this note, the people of Ndian Division have met in Mundimba for the first ever Ndian Peace and Development Conference. Among the objectives is to restore peace, restart construction works on the Kumba-Ikondo-Titi Road, and the restoration of palm oil, CDC, and other agro-industries.
You will agree with me that the past 5 or 6 years, as the case may be, since this crisis started, it has been difficult. Sons and daughters of this region in one place with this kind of number that you see. And so the initiative of coming up with the All-Indian Conference, ANC, for development of peace, I think that it's a very wonderful idea.
The host, Mayor Samuel Osang of the Mundimba municipality, welcomed all, highlighting the tourism potential of Ndian, such as the Korob National Park, the maritime area of the division, and more. Meantime, the representative of the Prime Minister, Balungeli Confiance Ebune, viewed the conference as a new and bright beginning for Ndian while appreciating the Ndian youth for their initiative at the conference. He noted that the conference was a true purveyor of the peace and development that all want to see in their division.
You all sons and daughters of Ndian Division can contribute in accelerating this peace and development by joining the network and groups out there and educating them on the merits of the efforts of government. Belonging in this network and dissuading them from financing bloodshed, insecurity, discord back home instead of embracing the dispensation provided by government.
The Ndian Peace and Development Conference, which unfolded on Friday to Saturday, April 23, 2022, was also an opportunity for the sons and daughters of the community to showcase their culture through dance.
Pupils and students in the country have resumed school for the third term of the 2022 academic year. Let's see how school resumption went on in the nation's political capital, Yaoundé, with our correspondent Colette Loom.
Class Classes have resumed for the third final term in schools in the nation's capital this Monday, April 25th. After a few weeks of rest at home, pupils and students are back in class to warm their benches, determined to make it through so they can be promoted to the next class. Visiting some of these schools in the capital city, classes effectively began at 8 a.m. Upon arrival in one of these schools, school administrators checked students' bags to identify those who didn't respect school rules. The head teachers cautioned the administration to keep a close eye on discipline during the short and decisive term. Classes will be on for just 2 or 3 weeks in the total of 6 weeks that students will be in school before the exam is set, according to some of these school administrators.
Pour le constater, élèves et enseignants ont répondu présents et les cours ont effectivement commencé.
As you could see, pupils and teachers have effectively commenced and studies resumed. As you all saw during the assembly, the school term is short, and you all know it's a very short term. Therefore, pupils should study hard, because soon we'll begin evaluation in general, so no one should be at rest. Let everyone get down to work, pupils, teachers, and parents all together.
Il faut que tout le monde se mette au travail, enseignants, élèves et parents.
Meanwhile, pupils who did not perform well during the second term are bent on working extremely hard to improve on their grades this term so as to be promoted to the new class.
It is good to study and write. I will work so hard.
Le premier jour de la rentrée du 3e trimestre, nous sommes arrivés, nous avons fait le rassemblement le matin.
This first day of the school, we did the national anthem. Then we went to class. Pupils answered present, and we began with some school activities. Pupils are present, though we witnessed some absences. However, the absence is not too bad.
Nous avons constaté un nombre d'absents, mais ce n'est pas très grave.
Worth noting, authorities in most schools we visited say 95 to 100% of the academic year syllabus was covered during the first and second terms, but the third term is very short and most determinant reason why laxity will not.
As climate change threatens the world and in a bid to protect Mother Nature, individuals all over the world have been challenged to be disciplined in waste management and engage in the planting of trees. Eileen Sama tells us more.
Week-long activities to commemorate World Earth Day culminated last Friday with global cleanup campaigns to remove billions of pieces of trash from neighborhoods, beaches, rivers, lakes, trails and parks, reducing waste and plastic pollution, improving habitats and preventing harm to wildlife and humans. Members of the Association for Community Awareness, ASQA, an NGO passionate with protecting the earth, is running a project to clean the coastline. The CEO of ASQA highlighted the dangers of poor care of the environment.
Joining the international community is very important for us to take care of our environment, because our environment gives us a lot of food and most we benefit from the environment. So I think it is very important when we want to talk about environment, everybody needs to involve to make sure we protect the environment. The environment gives us a lot of benefit, and if we don't protect the environment, it's going to be a harm to us and our future generation. A lot of persons, they litter the environment without even knowing, and I think it is not good. But we have the habit of not taking care of our community, our environment when it comes to keeping it clean. But I want to believe that if we take some measures, we put some measures together in our personal self, because we need to discipline ourselves, we will be able to take care of the environment. Now, when it comes to the coastline, which we focus on cleaning the coastline, I think the ocean provides a lot of benefit to to humanity. That is why we focus on cleaning the coastline.
It is worth noting that this year's edition of World Earth Day, commemorated on the 22nd of April, is happening at a time when Cameroon is being badly hit by the cholera epidemic stemming from the poor waste management, especially along coastlines. Ebot Mary, health coordinator of ASCOA, explains.
In environments where sewage is waste from humans, be it feces, be it urine, when it leaks into our bodies of water. So let's just consider that, you have somebody who is suffering from cholera in a particular community, and he or she's not properly disposing his waste, or fluids that come out of the body, maybe the vomit stools, the diarrhea stool, and this happens to get into water. It's an avenue for destruction, because let's imagine that it gets into water where, people are drinking. It brings back this bacteria to the rest of the community, and at the end of the day, you see that the infection is spreading. So it is very important that we contain, fluids from cholera patients, if we have them in our houses, before we take them to the hospital.
Nonetheless, as a step towards protecting the earth, every individual around the world has been challenged to be disciplined in waste management, pollution, and climate change, as well as planting a tree for nature's recycling.
Cameroon yesterday, April 25, joined the international community to celebrate World Malaria Day. In Cameroon, the government is bent on supporting free treatment for children aged between 0 and 5 years. We spoke with a medical doctor. Harness innovation to reduce malaria disease burden and save lives. It is the theme of the 15th edition of the World Malaria Day, celebrated annually on April 25, a day set aside by the World Health Organization to recognize global efforts put in place to control the disease. Figures from the Cameroon Public Health Ministry during the March Stop Malaria campaign launch revealed that at least 6 million infections and 4,000 deaths from malaria are recorded yearly in Cameroon. In 2021, malaria accounted for 30% of consultations compared to 29% in 2019, with women and children under 5 being the most vulnerable. But what causes an upsurge in malaria apart from the disturbances in access to care linked to the COVID-19 pandemic as stipulated by the World Health Organization?
The first thing to do is have the conscience. When we are giving, for example, a mosquito net, some people use the mosquito net for another thing. We are giving the mosquito net for them to put in our house, to not be by an female mosquito.
Overcoming the deadly borne disease will require preventive measures.
To overcome malaria in Cameroon, we started to doing the prevention. The first thing to do is the prevention. We cannot overcome, you cannot fight against malaria if you are not doing the prevention. To walk around our house, to wear the clothes we cannot permit to female mosquito to beat ourselves.
According to Dr. Wanji, health centers, with the help of the government, are engaged in the free treatment of children aged 0 to 5 years.
It's very important to know that our government have the possibility, give the possibility of every health center, every hospital to take care of children under or between 0 to 5 year old to be free. The treatment is free.
Meanwhile, actors involved in the fight against the disease have been organizing sensitization campaigns and roundtable discussions to educate the population on the need to use available tools to curb malaria within the communities. Still on health, the world observed World Meningitis Day over the weekend in a bid to help raise awareness regarding the epidemic. Bokengo Wadi tells us more.
Meningitis is a severe health condition that can be life-threatening for toddlers, children, and adults.
Meningitis is the inflammation of the meninges. The meninges is a protective membrane that covers the brain and the spinal cord against infection.
Bearing 3 types, being bacterial, fungal, and viral, the disease possesses signs and symptoms which may look like however, bearing different severity borne by the type, which include
virus, we have bacteria, and then we have fungi. Then the virus is the most common cause of meningitis, while the bacteria is the second most common cause of meningitis, and then the fungi is a rare cause of meningitis. Talking about the signs and symptoms of meningitis, they include: one, there's a sudden high temperature. Next, there's photophobia. Next, there's confusion. There's nausea and vomiting. There's excessive sleepiness. There's difficulties in waking up from bed.
Worthy of note is the fact that the disease is highly preventable.
The best way to prevent meningitis is by taking the recommended dose or the recommended vaccine of meningitis. And also you maintain a healthy habit, like sleeping, like taking enough rest, and then drinking enough fluid.
On World Meningitis Day, health bodies, organization, personnel as well as caregivers encourages persons suffering with meningitis to prioritize healthy lifestyle habits by quitting alcohol, smoking, engaging in physical exercises, as well as consume a healthy diet so as to reduce the estimated 250,000 deaths yearly borne by meningitis worldwide.
We have come to the end of today's edition of Prime Flash.